What's up, everyone? Josh or Miho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Devourment entitled Conceived in Sewage. This is scheduled to be released on February the 19th through Relapse Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of Dallas, Texas, and to me, when it comes to Texas death metal, Devourment is one of the first bands you can definitely think of when you think of the death metal scene here in Texas. I mean, their early demos and their 1999 debut, Molesting the Decapitated. Wow. Just pure, brutal death metal at its peak. I mean, of course you have the controversial Baby Killer song. That's the song that everybody knows Devourment best for. But the album in itself, Molesting the Decapitated, was just pure, raw, brutal death metal brutality at its finest. I mean, lyrics that just make your skin crawl. Low, vomitous, guttural vocals. Not to mention the music itself was just absolutely crushing. That's really something that made Devourment stand out and become something well known and well respected. That album is just awesome. But then in 2005, after a lot of dust settling, Devourment returned with Butcher the Week. I thought Butcher the Week was awesome. It was the first to feature Mike Majewski basically transitioning from being a guitarist in Devourment to the current voice of the band. And to me, he's been a very awesome singer for this band. His vocals are just as guttural and as vomitous as the previous singers, most notably Wayne Knupp, rest in peace, and their current guitarist, founding guitarist Ruben. His vocals are just something very special, and I consider him one of the best frontmen vocalists in brutal death metal today. Just the vocals and lyrics he spouts out are just absolutely awesome. Butcher the Week, I thought, was a very good introduction to his kind of style. Then in 2009, we had Unleash the Carnivore, where things started to take a bit of a more modern shift, both musically and lyrically. Yeah, I thought that album was just pure awesome. Very good record. And now, all this time later, we have their fourth full-length entitled Conceived in Sewage, and this is their first for Relapse Records. I've been waiting for this album for quite a while, and I really wasn't sure what to think of it at first. Of course, they released some singles out to the public, like 50 Ton War Machine, and most recently, Metal Sucks streamed the song Legalize Homicide. Both of those songs were very contrasting, and I should also mention, those are the first two tracks you'll hear on this record, Legalize Homicide and 50 Ton War Machine. It only made me wonder what the rest of the album was going to be like. And now that I've had the opportunity to listen to it, multiple times, mind you, I've come up with my own thoughts and variations of this record. It's 9 tracks, and it runs around 33 minutes in length. And I can honestly say that, to me, this is still the same Devourment that you are familiar with. The sole exception being that this band has a little bit of an oomph in their production sound. They got Eric Rutan to do the mixing on this record, mixing and mastering if I'm not mistaken, and of course, everybody's going to have their concerns about it. They're not sure whether they're going to like it or love it or whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, this still sounds like typical Devourment to me. I wouldn't have wanted this record any other way, regardless of whether the production had a good, clean quality or good, clean sound to it. This is a Devourment record as if there ever was one. And there's a lot more tricks up this album's sleeve than you would expect. And come February the 19th, I'm hopeful that people will give this album a fair opportunity to listen to it and judge for themselves how they think Devourment really sound. The guitars on here are your typical Devourment guitars. Very, very strong, very well executed riffs, very crunchy, very powerful, a lot of good solid grit to it. even to the parts where it basically starts to slow down just a little bit, where you hear a bit of a slam thrown in there too, and even to the more faster mid-pace stuff. The riffs just sound very buzzing. That's the kind of style you would get when you listen to a Devourment record. It's nothing flashy. It's nothing fancy at all. It's the typical Devourment guitar, and I think the riffs sound really solid. I love the way the guitar riffs are done on this record. Even to some of the more later tracks, like, I want to say the title track, and later songs like Today We Die, Tomorrow We Kill, and Heaving Acid. I think some of the guitar work on those songs are really solid. It's what you would expect from a Devourment record, but I think it sounds that much better. Bass-wise, the bass is very good. I enjoy the way that it's mixed. I enjoy the way that it sounds. It's not too audible to where it dominates over the guitar, but still, I think the bass sounds really nice on this record. The drums, Eric Park has really been an awesome drummer for this band. I loved his work on the last several Devourment records, and here is no different, and I think this is him at his absolute peak. I really dig the way that he plays the drums here. You get some really good, solid blast beats. The gravities sound really good. The snare tone sounds really good. It doesn't sound too loud or over the top. Like in some cases, when you would hear some brutal death metal records, you would hear the snare way more than you would any other kind of drum part. But the way the drums sound here sound good. When the snare has its pop, when it gets to the blast beats, it sounds really good. Even like I said, the mixture of slower parts to the mid-fast-paced parts, I think it sounds really good. They're scattered all throughout this entire record, but I think it's really cool. And I do think that in some cases, the drums can be a little bit militant sounding. Like, take the instrumental track March to Megiddo, which is really the only instrumental track on this album. It's the lead-up to the song Today We Die, Tomorrow We Kill. Even on tracks like 50-Ton War Machine, they have that militant edge to it. But I still think he pulls that off very nicely. He pulls that drumming style off very nicely with those drums, and I think it's really awesome. And now we get to the vocals. To me, the vocals on this album take me back to Butcher the Week a little bit, because you still had Mike delivering his ultra-low, nasty, vomitous, guttural vocals, but there were moments where he basically, you understand him a lot more. You understand what he says a lot more and the way he delivers his words and his enunciations. Here on Conceived in Sewage, he delivers a mixture of both kinds of vocal styles. More often than anything, you're going to get the classic Majewski guttural growl, very low, guttural, undecipherable, vomitous, and just near scary. Just the way he delivers the vocals is just awesome. And even when he gets to the more mid-higher ranged kind of screams, it kind of takes me back to, I want to say maybe current Dying Fetus, and maybe even current Cannibal Corpse to a certain extent. That's the kind of vibe I get when I listen to the vocal style here. Even to the music itself, it does have that modern kind of death metal sound. But still, going back to the vocals now, Mike Majewski does incredible stuff here. And the lyrics are straight up Devourment as it can ever be. I thought on the last record, Unleash the Carnivore, the mixture of the controversial lyrics and the more detailed, in-depth, thought-out kind of lyrics were very interesting. But more often than not, you're going to get the kind of lyrical content that you would expect on a Devourment record. Like on songs like Parasitic Eruption, and probably one of the best tracks on here, Fucked with Rats, which is a collab. If I'm not mistaken, Travis Ryan of Cattle Decapitation does some vocals on here. You can recognize his guttural growls instantly. Just his vocals and Mike Majewski's vocals paired together, it just sounds so nasty. It is so, so nasty. I love it a lot. I really dig the vocal styles on that track. But overall, Mike Majewski does some awesome work here, in my opinion at least. So, overall, honestly, this is going to be a Devourment record that is going to get people talking. Either people are going to love the direction that they're taking, or people are going to cry foul and not like it at all, and stick to only what they know Devourment best for, their first album and the demos prior to that. But I say give it a shot. Give it at least a chance, a few good listens before you decide to write this off completely. Every band does what they want to do, regardless of what we, the listener, think. Even if it's for the best, even if it's for the worst, bands will do what they want to do. Devourment did what they wanted to do with this record, and I think this is an absolute success. I think Conceived in Sewage is an absolutely awesome piece of brutal death metal. It doesn't matter if it's coming out on a good label like Relapse, it's still brutal death metal. It just has a bit of a cleanlier sound to it. That's what makes this record far more different than previous Devourment records past. So I say give it a shot. Would I say this is probably the best brutal death metal album of 2013? I'm not too sure yet. I still have all this year to figure that out, but this is an absolutely awesome record, and I would encourage anyone to give it a shot when it comes out, when it's available to be listened to. I know there's a lot of pre-order packages going up. I myself pre-ordered the vinyl and the CD. I know there's all those bundle packages too. If you happen to be into that kind of stuff, feel free to go for it. Wait till it's on their Bandcamp page, stream it there. But yeah, this is great stuff, in my opinion. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely say Conceived in Sewage, Fucked with Rats, Heaving Acid, Parasitic Eruption, and Carved into Ecstasy. I really dig that song too. So, again, the album is Conceived in Sewage by Devourment. This is released on Relapse Records. It will be out on February the 19th. Pick this up, or at least give it a try before it, or when it comes out, excuse me. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. This might change. The rating might get higher as time goes by. But I still think this is an awesome piece of brutal death metal. Support Devourment, TXDM. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Armijo out.